Welcome everyone. With me today is Matt Connor. He is the founder of SSD Nodes and has extensive experience in leadership and DevOps, having been a founder of several companies and holding positions at organizations like Zito, Brightscope, Chapman University, and others. Matt, I want to thank you for joining me, and I big congratulations here for SSD Nodes celebrating its 7th anniversary.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been a long 7 years.
Well, it should be long. It's supposed to be moving pretty fast, shouldn't it?
It goes by quickly, but then you look back and realize so much has happened.
Yeah. Well, Michael Gerber, I think, was the person that said that it was you make it 7 years and the odds start favoring a startup, okay? Or maybe the idea is you get to drop the startup name after 7. Does it feel that way?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Searching for the business model, we kind of chose one that already existed, which was the subscription model. I still think we're a startup in so many ways, just because we're growing, we're learning, we're trying new things. It's never the same. So it's not like moving into a bureaucratic older business where you're just doing the same thing over and over. It feels like we're doing something new every day. And I think that still deserves the startup name.
So you keep that mindset that, of the startup is what you're saying. And so do you ever feel you got a sustainable business then?
I think so. And I think that's really important to have from the beginning, because if it's unsustainable, then you don't stay in business for long, which is maybe what he was talking about with the 7 years.
Sure. So are 7 years, are you doing anything special? Anything for your customers or anything?
We are. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a 7-year anniversary sale. We're going to be unleashing some really incredibly discounted 3-year plans. We found that if we offer people a large enough discount, they'll commit a longer term in advance, when it'll actually end up being a really significant discount.
Well, that sounds kind of interesting that people would even think of a somewhat young company that they're really looking at the fact that I'll go 3 years, I'll go 7 years. Does that strike you odd that people are, I'm sure you've kind of tested it. I guess people are willing to do it.
Yeah, it struck me pretty amazingly that people would go and visit the first time and purchase a 3-year plan. I mean, we do offer a 14-day refund, and then after that we'll give you prorated credit. But yeah, it did strike me as it's kind of amazing. But it is 90% cheaper than the competition, so I think when you look at the numbers and the risk, you'll be spending like 3 or 4 months at the competition. That equals the same as 3 years with us.
Okay. Well, one of the things that really strikes me about SSD Nodes and yourself was that you bootstrapped the company. Okay, and that kind of seems not the normal way a startup works anymore. We're always out there pitching and looking for VC funding and everything. Can you go back 7 years and paint that landscape for me a little bit well, first of all, why did you bootstrap it? Wasn't there anybody out there willing to give you money or what?
I think it was mostly because it was unconventional at the time. Trying something new, I think I wanted to try it without any strings attached. And once you get investor money, then you can't do what's right for the customer and what's right for the business, because the investor has to make a really large return for the numbers to work out. And in a very short amount of time, 10 years, and we're 7 years through this. So they would be looking at a return in 3 more years if we got VC funding. But it just gives us more freedom to give the customer what they want and to provide a really good service. And also constraints allow you to get more creative than if you just had a really large bank account and you could spend it on whatever you want.
When you bootstrapped it, one of the things I always tell people when I talk to them first and they're thinking about a startup and they have this idea is that, don't quit your day job, right? Did you quit your day job? Did you go all in?
I did. I mean, not immediately, of course, because you have to make sure all the numbers work, and you got to grow at a sustainable pace and all that. But yeah, now I am.
I didn't mention this to begin with, but what is SSD Nodes? What are you doing?
We offer cloud servers. I mean, maybe we should have said that in the beginning, but we offer cloud servers to small businesses, entrepreneurs, developers, students, and you get resources in a world-class data center, and you can do whatever you want with it. Some people have gaming servers, some people host blogs, some people host personal development servers, and just whatever you want, you can do it. So in the beginning, we kind of focused just on larger companies and established businesses, and we grew really slowly that way, but we were able to learn a lot from these customers, get to know them really well. And then there was kind of a pivot point where we went down market towards people that weren't as established yet. And so we were offering something significantly cheaper than the competition and ended up getting some really large growth there. So that was kind of the pivot point and the milestone right there. And then expanding to multiple locations and hiring and stuff like that are kind of other milestones.
What's the difference you and Amazon AWS or Google Drive? I mean, what's the difference between the two platforms?
Amazon is sort of like a utility. Their billing model is completely different. They're per second now. Their tooling is very different from what we offer. Their offering is very different from who they're targeting. We're targeting people who want a really cheap server somewhere and are willing to use it to build what they want. Amazon's a very different use case. If you need to spin up thousands and thousands of instances within a couple of seconds, that's what they're really good for. Google Drive is a different layer. They're more just storage and an API there. It's very different from what we offer.
SSD nodes means you have SSD servers, right?
Exactly. And we were actually one of the first providers to offer SSDs at the time. It was back when they were just announced in 2011. They were extremely expensive. I think Amazon offered them 2012, 2013.
Over 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. You went ahead and created a business model that you went against, some pretty significant people and other people that maybe offer something similar but a whole host of other services. You seem pretty streamlined in what you're offering. And why do you think that works?
I think because the business model is really simple. And I think that's the first problem is people try to overcomplicate things. But if you go with a really simple business model, monthly, annually, and now 3 years, that simplifies things, lets you focus on what's important, which is getting customers and offering them services that they want to use and that they're willing to pay for at a price they're willing to pay for. So I think those are really kind of the key pictures. If you're focusing on trying like a new business model, there's a lot of risk there. But as a really small company, if you use established ones, I think you'll have a better chance of success.
Well, everybody always talks about repeat clients, okay, in any business. And I'm sure there's a core group of clients that support SSD nodes. Do you think that's a significant factor that your existing clients and why you're able to push out these longer plans? What attracts them to SSD nodes, okay? I mean, what's some of the things that you hear from your repeat clients?
So, I mean, one of the main things is we offer really incredible servers at such a low price, and I think that resonates with so many people, especially if you're an IT professional and you have a side project with some clients. They're paying you a fixed amount. You're going to be looking for something that's reliable, that is the lowest cost possible, so that you can keep more of that money and investing it in yourself. That's why I think we retain so many people, is because we offer these at such a great price. You get really incredible resources, incredible support. Of course, there's always going to be customers that come and go. Maybe it's not the best fit for them. Maybe they need to spin up thousands and thousands of servers and want to get billed per second for those. And there's a solution out there that's for them. But for the customers where we are the solution for them, they're incredibly happy. And I think that's when you're working on your business, you find what your customers love about you, and then you work on that and make that even better. So in our case, customers really love the low pricing, so we're offering the 3-year plans at an incredibly significant discount. And it's scary for us because we're like, well, these numbers are really or really gnarly. But if you can figure that out, then that'll help a lot.
Well, I think when people first hear that, they hear about pricing. Okay, I think one of the first things that two things pops into my mind that I'll ask you about is that where are these servers located? I mean, are they on a Tibetan mountain somewhere? Where are the servers?
I mean, if they were on a mountain somewhere, we would have to charge for that because that would be incredibly expensive. No, we use data centers in Dallas, Seattle, New York, and Montreal. Dallas is our primary location. It's the one where we've gotten the price the lowest. And we buy the newest enterprise servers, stock them with the newest SSDs, the newest Intel processors, incredible amounts of RAM. We stock them in our data centers and offer the service out of there. So Dallas is really the main one. I recommend that one because it's right in the middle of the U.S. So if you're serving U.S. customers, you're just gonna get ideal latency across the country.
Okay, so there is something to do with latency, is why people will buy a server in North America, right?
Yeah, well, latency is really important because your visitors want a fast experience. Now you can hack around it by using Cloudflare in front of it to put your servers your visitor traffic closer to the user, and I think that's a good tool to use as well. But having closer servers in most cases, just because of the way TCP works, means you're going to have higher throughput from you to the server and from the server to the customers, which is really, really important. But depending on what you're doing, in most cases, you don't need like the absolute best latency. You can use something like Cloudflare to get it closer. You can get servers in multiple locations if you really need that. But in most cases, one in the US is really absolutely fine.
Your server, is that for the normal, layman? I mean, do you have to have a certain amount of expertise or background to have your own server and to work with your own server?
Yes and no. So, I mean, there's so many tutorials out there. There's so many different control panels you can use that can abstract a lot of that away to make it as easy as point and click to get stuff done. Of course, if you're down in the command line, you get a lot more flexibility in what you can do. But there are also some, pitfalls. You may forget to set a password here and there, and then your server may get compromised. There is a little bit of expertise. We're trying to figure out ways to make that easier. We have a blog where we write a lot of really incredible tutorials on there about many different ways to do different things. We have a security guide on there as well, which gives you a PDF that tells you the 6 steps to secure your server, which anybody, even people that are not using our services, should read. We regularly publish tutorials, and that helps a lot.
Assume you started as a one-man band, okay? And, what was it like hiring your first and second and others? And what was it like when you started hiring people? Was there this big trust thing that you had, or what was it like? Because, I mean, it's pretty sensitive types of information you're handling and everything for people.
It's really scary when you're first starting out and then you're hiring because you're giving other people access. Of course, I think the best way to do it is to give a little bit at a time and to build trust with these people, and especially in really new roles, and to slowly give the keys to them, see how they manage like that level, then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and course correct as needed. But it's really scary in the beginning. Realize you have a lot less control than you thought. So putting together a formalized structure, and I think that's really important, but it doesn't have to be super formal. Our company is actually really flat right now. And I think that gives people a lot of latitude to do the things they need to get their jobs done. We have accountability structure, but outside of that, we don't have like a formalized management structure besides me. And I think that really helps a lot with giving people the control. Then the accountability part just, makes sure that everything's flowing smoothly. And we have processes in place, and we have customers that are involved in that. We have little feedback emails that go out after tickets so we can see how the customer felt that ticket was handled. And yeah, I think stuff like that's really important, but you can easily get bogged down in process. I think we run the company pretty lean. So adding too much process would slow us down.
But you're scaling pretty quick. I always remember that Mario Andretti said it. He says, if you feel like you're in control, you're just not going fast enough or something, he said. You got to be like on the edge, right? Pushing the edge a little bit. Do you feel like that at times? Or you just kind of sit back and reflect and see how little that you are in control, maybe?
So I think it's really important to have a level of control. In a lot of cases, I love the Netflix culture deck because they say this perfectly, is context, not control, is to give people the context to do their job, but you aren't telling them how to do it. You aren't controlling them with the way they're doing it. And I think that's really important. And those are kind of the examples I try to set, is framing the problems that we're having, aligning the goals of where we need to be, where we are, that sort of thing. And then letting people, because you hired them, because you trust them, let them come up with the solutions, the things that are needed to get there.
Do you feel like sometimes you know the answer though, but you leave them run with it? I mean, how do you feel when that's happening?
So it's part of the process of when we're discussing what to do. If they're saying something that I think that we've already done, then I'll say, well, these are my learnings doing this thing, and then just to add more information to it, not saying this is what you need to do, but this is my experience doing it, and this is the context during the time of when I did it, which may have been a couple of years ago and may be completely not applicable to what we're doing now because we're in a very different space. So we'd just say it then, not wait, there's no need to wait, just say it as part of the conversation.
Well, I want to throw something at you here. I want you to step outside your box a little bit and say, how do you think other competitors and customers, maybe we'll just go competitors, think of you in the industry, that outside in perspective? I mean, how is the market looking at SSD nodes? From an outside in, what do you think they see?
They're probably wondering how we're able to get the pricing so low and how we're still in business by doing that. I think that's a valid question. That would be my guess. And I would just say significant engineering went into making all that work.
Oh, we talk a lot about pricing, when we talk about SSD nodes, but that's not the primary thing they talk about. They really talk about some of the personal support that they get. And I think that's what really surprises me about it, is that, they don't think they're going in there and they're getting a bot, okay? Is the bot that good? Are they? Or are you really giving personal support?
Well, we've been spending a lot of time working on an AI. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, we lead on pricing, but then when people have questions, we do really well on support. So it's not just like you're getting something really low priced and then we just don't have any support for it. We actually give you really fantastic support.
I find that challenging for most people with support, with the amount of time and adding that personal support, because I know you've taken time, that you've directly answered people and been part of the support structure, and I think any startup does, okay? I can remember football games with my kids talking and troubleshooting a hot oil heater or something, on the phone with a guy, right? Doing that, but that's part of creating and running a business. And was there ever a time in these 7 years that you just was like, I'm just going to stay in bed today?
So I think it's really important to take time to reflect and to relax and, take some time to vacation, because a lot of what happens with founders is they just are on call 24/7. They work on the business 24/7. And then you burn out because you're just grinding so hard on this one thing and you miss a lot of opportunities by doing that. So being able to take time to reflect, having a hobby here and there, it helps a lot. I would recommend stuff like that. There hasn't really been a time where I was like, screw this, I'm out of here. Never, because I committed to this and I wanted to prove everybody wrong that I could do it.
Was there certain milestones or hurdles that changed the way you did business?
There came a point where I needed to hire. It was scary and I just wasn't really sure about how to do it, how to find the right people and that sort of thing. But I just learned it by doing and just being really deliberate about how I was doing it.
What are the threats for SSD nodes? Do you think it's mostly competitors? Do you think that, things will be changed in the future? I mean, or do we just think cloud offerings will just go on and get larger forever?
I expect the landscape's going to change, and I think that's really important to embrace that. The threats are really just not being able to move quickly enough. But I think when I was talking about the informal structure before, if you have a really formal structure, then there's no room to move because everybody's used to just repeating the same process over and over. Nobody is thinking, for themselves. So I think the biggest threat is complacency. Remember when he talked about are you a startup or not? I think that still being in that startup mindset that, yes, we have this business model that works, but if something comes along that completely changes it, then we just got to do it. Because one, our customers are going to be asking us to do it. And two, we need to serve our customers. So that's kind of the main threat.
What's in the future? I mean, do you have this 7-year plan laid out there for the next 7? I mean, what's in the future for Matt and SSD Nodes?
You can't have a plan written down for 7 years because it'll be out of date in a year. But you can have a general idea of where you're going, and you leave room in there for anything new that comes up, and that's really important. So we're definitely going to be in business in 7 more years and 7 after that, and keep running this thing forever.
What's the best way to find out more about SSD nodes? Okay, I mean, so we can just type it in the internet, but I mean, where do you hang out? Is it ssdnodes.com, or where's the best place to learn more?
ssdnodes.com, also our blog, which you can find at ssdnodes.com. You can also find us on Twitter at ssdnodes.
Matt, I would like to offer you a sincere congratulations and wish you the best for the next 7, okay, and even the years after.